The stars hung like distant lanterns against the void as Captain Maya Vega stood at the observation deck of the UES Stormhawk. Humanity's most advanced patrol vessel glided silently through the edge of the Orion Arm, the border of what humans had claimed as their territory. After centuries of expansion, humanity had carved out a modest region among the stars, surrounded by the territories of older, more established galactic civilizations who viewed the newcomers with a mixture of curiosity and wariness. "Captain, we're picking up something unusual." Lieutenant Kavi Sharma's voice came through the comm. "Sector 7 Alpha, bearing 242.3. Vega's eyes narrowed. Sector 7 Alpha was a quiet zone, largely empty space between human territory and the nearest neighbor, the Taraxian hegemony. Nothing should be out there. "On my way," she replied, turning from the viewport and making her way to the bridge. The Stormhawk's bridge hummed with activity as Vega stepped through the sliding doors. Holographic displays filled the air around the central command station, and her crew worked with practiced efficiency. "Show me," Vega ordered as she settled into her command chair. Sharma's fingers danced across the sensor console. "It's not registering on standard protocols, Captain. No heat signature, no engine emissions, no radiation trace, just displacement." Displacement. Vega leaned forward. "Yes, Mom. Something's there, moving through space, but it's not leaving any of the usual signatures. It's like a shadow passing in front of stars." Tactical Officer Wei Chen spoke up. "Could be a new cloaking technology. The Taraxians have been rumored to be developing something along those lines." "This close to our border?" Vega shook her head. "Even they wouldn't be that bold." "Comms, any transmissions in the area?" Communications Specialist Rivera shook her head. "Nothing, Captain. Total silence." "Put it on visual," Vega ordered. The main viewer shifted to show the starfield ahead. At first, there appeared to be nothing unusual. Then Vega saw it, a subtle distortion moving against the stars, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. "Magnify," she said, standing up and stepping closer to the screen. The image zoomed in and enhanced. The distortion took more definite shape, an elongated, sleek silhouette darker than the space around it. It moved with unnatural grace, seeming to slip between the stars rather than pushing through space like normal vessels. "That's not Taraxian design," Wei said, voice hushed with awe. "I've never seen anything like it." "Run it through the database," Vega ordered. "All known ship classifications, including historical and theoretical models." "Already on it," Sharma replied. After a moment, he shook his head. "No matches, Captain. Not even close." Vega studied the screen. "Hail them. Standard protocols. All frequencies." Rivera turned to her console. "UES Stormhawk to unknown vessel. You are approaching human space. Please identify yourself." Silence. "UES Stormhawk to unknown vessel. Respond, or we will consider your approach potentially hostile." Still nothing. "It's changing course," Sharma reported suddenly, heading directly for the Carina Nebula border zone. Vega frowned. The Carina Nebula marked the edge of the Droxy Confederacy's territory, another major power that shared an uneasy peace with both humans and Taraxians. The area was essentially a three-way neutral zone, carefully monitored by all parties. If it crosses into Droxy space, Wei let the implication hang in the air. "Track it," Vega decided. "Maintain distance, but don't lose it." "Navigator, plot and intercept course." "Captain." Executive Officer Dominic Foster stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Admiralty directives are clear about penetrating the neutral zone without authorization." "I'm aware, XO," Vega replied. "But that ship, whatever it is, doesn't match any known profile. If it's some new technology that could upset the balance of power, we need to know." Foster looked unconvinced, but nodded. "Yes, Mom." Approaching the boundary, Navigator Phillips announced moments later. Vega made her decision. "Continue pursuit. Yellow alert. The bridge lighting shifted subtly as the ship's status changed. The Stormhawk accelerated, following the mysterious vessel as it glided into the neutral zone. Keep sensor locks active, Vega instructed. I want to know the moment that thing does anything unusual. More unusual than existing, you mean? Sharma muttered under his breath. For hours, the Stormhawk shadowed the unknown vessel as it moved through the neutral zone. The strange ship maintained a constant speed that seemed to defy regular propulsion physics. It didn't accelerate or decelerate so much as simply exist at its chosen velocity. Captain, Rivera called suddenly. I'm picking up a transmission. Not from the unknown vessel, from deeper in the nebula. Let's hear it, Vega ordered. The bridge speakers crackled with a harsh, clicking language that the universal translator quickly converted. Repeat, this is Droxy Border Patrol Sunseeker. Unidentified vessels in the neutral zone. You are violating territorial agreements. State your purpose immediately. Vega straightened. Open a channel. Channel open. Droxy Vessel Sunseeker, this is Captain Maya Vega of the United Earth ship Stormhawk. We are tracking an unidentified vessel that entered the neutral zone. We believe it may represent a potential security concern. A pause then. UES Stormhawk, our sensors detect only your vessel. There is no other ship present in your vicinity. Vega exchanged glances with her officers. Sunseeker, I assure you, we are in pursuit of another vessel. It's using advanced stealth technology that may not register on standard sensors. Our sensors are the most advanced in the quadrant, human. There is no other ship. Cease your deception and withdraw from the neutral zone immediately. Sir, Sharma interrupted, 3 Droxy vessels approaching from the nebula. Heavy cruiser class. Vega felt a chill run down her spine. This was escalating quickly. Maintain yellow alert. Do not power weapons. Where's the unknown vessel? She asked. Sharma checked his readings. Still ahead of us. Same trajectory. Wait, it's changing course. It's heading directly for the Droxy ships. Can we warn them? Vega asked. Rivera shook her head. They're not acknowledging the vessel exists, Captain. On the view screen, the dark shape moved with impossible speed toward the approaching Droxy formation. As they watched, it slipped between the Droxy vessels, and for a brief moment, the mysterious ship became fully visible, a long obsidian craft with no visible engines, weapons, or external features. It gleamed like polished onyx against the nebula's colorful backdrop. Then, chaos erupted. The Droxy vessels suddenly lost formation, their lights flickering as they drifted momentarily out of control. When they recovered, their weapons systems activated, targeting arrays locking onto the Stormhawk. Red alert. Vega shouted as the bridge lighting shifted to combat status. Defensive posture only. Captain, the Droxy are hailing us, Rivera reported. They sound enraged. On screen, the face that appeared was distinctly Droxy, chitinous features with compound eyes and twitching mandibles. The universal translator struggled with the rapid, clicking speech. Human deception. Your electronic warfare attack will not go unanswered. You have committed an act of war against the Droxy Confederacy. What? Vega stepped forward. We did nothing. It was the unknown vessel. There is no unknown vessel. Only your ship, which has penetrated our security zone and attacked our patrol with some form of energy weapon. Prepare to be boarded and seized. Droxy vessel, stand down. We meant no. The transmission cut off. The unknown ship, Sharma reported. It's gone. Completely vanished from sensors. The Droxy are powering weapons. Way announced. Railguns charging. Impact in 30 seconds. Vega's mind raced. They'd been set up, somehow. The mysterious vessel had deliberately led them into this confrontation and then done something to the Droxy ships. Auctions, she demanded. We can outrun them, Phillips suggested. The Stormhawk is faster than any Droxy cruiser. And confirm our guilt in their eyes, Foster countered. 15 seconds to impact. Y warned. Vega made her decision. Full power to forward shields. Maintain position. Open all channels. Maximum broadcast. Captain, Foster questioned. If we run, it looks like an admission of guilt. If we fight, we start a war. But if we stand our ground without firing? 5 seconds. This is Captain Maya Vega of the UES Stormhawk. To all vessels and monitoring stations in range. We are about to be fired upon by Droxy forces after being framed by an unknown vessel with advanced stealth capabilities. I am not returning fire. Repeat, we are not engaging. We came in peace and will not be provoked into war. The railgun rounds from the Droxy cruiser slammed into the Stormhawk's shields, the impact rocking the ship violently. Sparks flew from one console as crew members were thrown from their stations. Shields at 60%. We reported. Second volley incoming. Maintain position, Vega ordered, gripping her chair as another impact shuddered through the ship. Continue broadcast. Captain, Rivera called out suddenly. I'm picking up transmissions, multiple sources. Taraxian border patrols have detected our broadcast and are moving to investigate. They're demanding the Droxy cease fire. The diplomatic ramifications were unfolding faster than Vega had anticipated. The Taraxians, ancient rivals of the Droxy, would never miss an opportunity to position themselves as peacekeepers, especially if it meant embarrassing the Droxy Confederacy. Shields at 30%. Y reported after a third volley. We can't take much more, Captain. Taraxian vessels entering the neutral zone, Sharma announced. 5 ships, destroyer class. The view screen shifted to show the approaching Taraxian fleet. Elegant, biomechanical vessels that seemed to flow through space rather than cut through it. The Droxy are powering down weapons, Y said, relief evident in his voice. Incoming transmission from the Taraxian flagship, Rivera reported. On screen, Vega ordered, straightening her uniform despite the chaos on the bridge. The face that appeared belonged to a Taraxian naval commander, humanoid, but with iridescent scales and elongated features that gave them an almost regal appearance. Captain Vega of Earth, this is Commander Thale of the Taraxian hegemony. We monitored your broadcast and the unprovoked proxy attack. What is this about an unknown vessel? Vega took a deep breath. Commander Thale, approximately 6 hours ago, we detected a vessel unlike any in our records. It used advanced stealth technology that rendered it nearly invisible to sensors. We followed it into the neutral zone, where it approached the Droxy patrol and did something to their ships before vanishing. Thale's expression was unreadable. The Droxy claim you attacked them with an energy weapon. We fired nothing. Our weapons remain cold, Vega insisted. You can verify that with your sensors. A pause. Then Thale nodded. Confirmed. Your weapon systems show no recent discharge. The unknown vessel is the key to understanding what happened here, Vega continued. It led us deliberately into this confrontation. I believe both we and the Droxy are being manipulated. Thale seemed to consider this. Captain Vega, the Taraxian hegemony formally requests your presence at Diplomatic Station Varus for a full debriefing on this incident. The Droxy representatives will also be present. It wasn't really a request. It was the only way to prevent this incident from spiraling into all-out war. We'll set course immediately, Vega agreed. As the transmission ended, Foster approached his captain. This could be the most significant diplomatic crisis between our species in decades. Vega nodded gravely, and whoever was piloting that ship knew exactly what they were doing. She turned to look at the starfield on the view screen, where the mysterious vessel had vanished. The question is, why does someone want to start a war between our civilizations, and who has the technology to make it happen? She had a sinking feeling they would find out all too soon. Diplomatic Station Varus hung against the backdrop of the Carina Nebula like a gleaming metal flower, its petal-shaped docking arms extending outward to accommodate vessels from a dozen different species. Captain Maya Vega stood at the viewport in her assigned quarters, watching as another Droxy warship took position alongside the already substantial fleet gathered near the station. "They're still positioning for war," Executive Officer Foster observed as he joined her at the window. "Can you blame them?" Vega replied. "From their perspective, they were attacked without provocation in their own territory. And we're the convenient scapegoat." A chime at the door interrupted their conversation. Lieutenant Rivera entered, her expression grim. "Captain, the diplomatic summit begins in 30 minutes. The Admiralty just sent a data packet. They've assigned a specialist to join our delegation." "A specialist?" Vega frowned. "Who?" "Dr. Elias Chen, an archaeologist from the University of New Mars. He's already arrived on station." Foster looked confused. "An archaeologist? What good will digging up the past do in this situation?" Rivera handed Vega a datavad. "According to this brief, Dr. Chen is the leading expert on pre-contact civilizations in this sector. Apparently, his work might be relevant to our mystery ship." Vega's eyes widened as she reviewed the information. "Have him meet us outside the council chambers immediately." 20 minutes later, Vega and Foster stood in the ornate corridor leading to the station's main diplomatic hall. The approaching figure didn't match Vega's expectations. Dr. Chen was young, perhaps mid-30s, with an easy stride and alert eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. "Captain Vega," he greeted her with a firm handshake. "Thank you for accommodating me on such short notice. The Admiralty seems to think you're essential to understanding what happened." Vega replied. "Care to explain why?" Chen smiled, but his eyes remained serious. "Your encounter wasn't unique, Captain. What you described, the shadow ship, its behavior, the way it disappeared, it's all consistent with historical accounts dating back nearly 3,000 years. Foster raised an eyebrow. "Historical accounts? From whom?" "From everyone," Chen said. "Taraxians, Droxy, the Melbury Alliance, even the ancient Jun records before their civilization collapsed. They all describe encounters with vessels that move like shadows, appear without warning, and vanish without trace. And these accounts tell us what we're dealing with?" Vega asked. Chen's expression grew solemn. "They do, but you're not going to like it." The diplomatic chamber was designed to accommodate multiple species, with temperature and atmospheric zones separated by nearly invisible force fields. The central table was circular, with the human delegation facing both the Droxy representatives and the Taraxian observers. Several other species were present as well: the insectoid cloaked, the methane-breathing Uvovo, and representatives from the Melbury Alliance. The atmosphere was tense as Admiral Costa, the human delegation leader, completed his formal opening statement. And as Captain Vega's logs clearly show, the UES Stormhawk fired no weapons during the encounter. "We submit that both our vessel and the Droxy patrol were victims of interference by an unknown third party." The Droxy ambassador, Tekrik, clicked his mandibles in what the translator rendered as derisive laughter. "Convenient that only your sensors detected this phantom ship. Our technology is superior to human instrumentation in every measurable way. There was no other vessel present." Before Admiral Costa could respond, Dr. Chen leaned forward. "Ambassador Tekrik, with respect, that's not entirely accurate. Your ancestors saw them too." A ripple of surprise passed through the chamber. Tekrik's compound eyes fixed on Chen. "Explain yourself, human." Chen activated a holographic display in the center of the table. Ancient Droxy pictographs appeared, showing stylized images of what appeared to be ships. "These come from the Temple of Ancestral Memory on Droxy Prime. They date back to the early expansion era, roughly 26 centuries ago. They depict what your ancestors called the Watchers, vessels that moved without engines, appeared and disappeared at will, and observed your early interstellar conflicts." Tekrik's mandibles twitched with surprise. "How do you know of these sacred records?" "Because similar accounts exist in every major civilization's historical archives," Chen replied, cycling through more images, Taraxian star charts, Melbury crystal recordings, ancient human petroglyphs from colony worlds. Different names: the Watchers, the Shadow Fleet, the Void Dancers, the Silent Ones, but always the same description. The Taraxian commander Thale leaned forward. What relevance does ancient mythology have to this diplomatic crisis? Chen's gaze swept the room. Because they're not myths. They're historical records of encounters with a civilization that predates all of ours, an ancient species that achieved interstellar travel millions of years before any of us. The evidence suggests they eventually transcended physical form, leaving behind automated vessels programmed to observe the development of younger species. Vega felt a chill run down her spine. You're saying the ship we encountered was some kind of ancient alien probe? More than that, Chen replied. Based on the historical patterns, these vessels appear during times of potential conflict between emerging spacefaring civilizations. They observe, sometimes intervene, and then disappear again for centuries. The Droxy ambassador clicked rapidly, his agitation clear. This is absurd. If such vessels existed, why have they not been documented in modern times? Because they're selective, Chen said. They appear only at crucial junctures, moments when the balance of power between civilizations is shifting. Usually before wars that reshape the galactic political landscape. A heavy silence fell over the chamber as the implications sank in. Captain Vega, Admiral Costa finally said, you had the closest encounter with this vessel. What's your assessment? Vega considered carefully before responding. Its movements were deliberate. It didn't accidentally lead us into Droxy territory. It wanted to create this confrontation. But why? Perhaps, offered the Uvovo delegate, voice bubbling through his methane translator, it tests how we resolve conflicts. If ancient, it would have witnessed the rise and fall of many civilizations. Perhaps it evaluates our worthiness. Worthiness for what? Foster asked. No one had an answer. The diplomatic session continued for hours, with representatives from each species offering theories and historical accounts. The tension in the room gradually shifted from hostility to a shared sense of uncertainty. As they took a recess, Vega pulled Chen aside. You haven't told us everything, have you? Chen hesitated. There's one pattern in the historical records I didn't mention in there. In every documented case where these vessels appeared and the species failed to resolve their conflicts peacefully. He paused. Those civilizations disappeared within a generation. Disappeared? You mean they went extinct? Some did. Others suffered catastrophic technological collapse. The Zhen, for instance, they were once as advanced as the Taraxians. Now they're pre-industrial, confined to a single planet. No one knows exactly what happened. You think these vessels are responsible? Chen shook his head. I think they're evaluators, not executioners. They observe how emerging interstellar species handle conflict. Those that resort to war despite being given a chance for peace, something happens to them. Vega's mind raced. Then this isn't just a diplomatic crisis. It's a test. And if we fail, we all fail, Chen finished. Not just humanity, all the species involved. When the session resumed, the atmosphere had changed. News of the historical pattern had leaked among the delegations, creating an undercurrent of fear beneath the diplomatic posturing. Admiral Costa was speaking when the station's alert system suddenly blared to life. Attention all personnel, came the automated voice. Unknown object approaching diplomatic station Varus. All ships prepare for possible defensive action. On the main view screen, it appeared, the same sleek obsidian vessel that the Stormhawk had encountered, now visible to everyone as it glided toward the station. All ships, hold fire, Vega said quickly, standing. That's it, the vessel we encountered. The Droxy ambassador's mandibles clicked rapidly. Our sensors are detecting it now. How is this possible? It wasn't there a moment ago. It wants to be seen, Chen said quietly. It's making itself known to everyone. The vessel came to a stop a kilometer from the station, hovering silently in space. No communication, no movement, just its presence, impossible to ignore. It's observing us, Vega realized, watching how we react to this crisis. The Droxy and Taraxian vessels moved into defensive formations, weapons systems powering up. "No," Chen shouted. "Don't you see? This is exactly what happened in the historical accounts. Military response leads to failure." Commander Thill's voice was tense. "We cannot simply ignore a potential threat of this magnitude." "It's not threatening us," Vega insisted. "It hasn't fired a single weapon. It's watching, evaluating." The tension in the room was palpable as military commanders argued with diplomats, each species divided on how to respond. "There must be a way to communicate with it," Vega said, turning to Chen. "If these encounters have happened before, did anyone ever successfully establish contact?" Chen's eyes widened. "Once. In the Melbury records, they mention a greeting of light that earned the vessel's acknowledgement. The Melbury ambassador, a crystalline being that communicated through light patterns, shimmered with interest. The Harmony Protocol. It is very ancient, preserved in our oldest memory crystals." "Can you reproduce it?" Vega asked urgently. "Perhaps, but it would require direct transmission from a ship, not the station." Vega turned to Admiral Costa. "Sir, request permission to take the Stormhawk out and attempt communication." The Admiral hesitated. "Captain, if you're wrong." "With respect, sir, I don't think I am. And if we do nothing, those ships out there will eventually open fire, and then we'll never know what might have been." After a tense moment, Costa nodded. "Permission granted, but at the first sign of hostility." "Understood, sir." Within 20 minutes, the Stormhawk was undocked, with Dr. Chen and the Melbury ambassador aboard. The ship moved slowly toward the Obsidian vessel, which remained motionless in space. "We're in position," Vega announced from the bridge. "Ambassador, we're ready for the transmission." In the makeshift communications lab, the crystalline Melbury ambassador began to glow, emitting patterns of light that the ship's systems amplified and projected outward. The sequence was mesmerizing. Complex fractals that shifted and evolved, mathematical in their precision, yet almost organic in their flow. "It's a mathematical proof," Chen explained, watching in fascination. "A demonstration of abstract reasoning, the ability to conceptualize beyond immediate survival needs." For long minutes, there was no response. The Stormhawk held position, broadcasting the ancient greeting while the assembled fleets watched in tense silence. Then suddenly, the Obsidian vessel began to change. Its surface rippled like disturbed water, and patterns of light, similar to but more complex than the Melbury greeting, flowed across its hull. "It's responding," Chen whispered. "Can we interpret it?" Vega asked. I'm not sure. It's beyond our mathematical systems." The Melbury ambassador's crystalline form pulsed. "It is a language of concept, not merely of symbols. It asks why we fight among ourselves." Vega stepped forward. "Open a channel. I want to speak directly." "Captain," Foster cautioned, "we don't know if it will understand." "It understands conflict," Vega replied. "Let's see if it understands peace." When the channel opened, Vega spoke clearly and with conviction. "I am Captain Maya Vega of the United Earth ship Stormhawk. We recognize your presence and your purpose. You have observed us at a moment of tension between our civilizations. Yes, we have conflicts. Yes, we disagree. But that is not all we are." She paused, then continued. "Human history is filled with war, but also with peace, with hatred, but also with love. We build weapons, but we also build bridges. We are not perfect, none of us are, but we strive to be better tomorrow than we were yesterday." The Obsidian vessel remained silent, but the patterns on its hull shifted, becoming more complex. "It is considering," the Melbury ambassador translated. "It has seen this before, the promises of young species before they destroy themselves or others." "Then let's show it something different," Vega said. She turned to Chen. Doctor, what did the historical records say about species that passed this test? What did they do differently? Chen thought for a moment. They demonstrated cooperation. Beyond words. Actual cooperation between previously hostile powers. Vega nodded, then opened a channel to the diplomatic station. Admiral Costa, I have a proposal. Not just for humanity, but for all species present. What followed was unprecedented in galactic history. At Vega's suggestion, each of the assembled species contributed a ship to form a joint escort for the ancient vessel. Not as a threat, but as a gesture of unified respect. The Droxy, despite their initial hostility, agreed to participate alongside the Taraxians and humans. As the multi-species formation took shape around the obsidian vessel, it began to change again. Its surface became transparent, revealing intricate internal structures that defied conventional engineering. At its core pulsed a light that shifted through colors beyond the human visual spectrum. It's opening itself to us, Chen said in awe, showing us its true nature. A signal emanated from the vessel, not in any known language, but in pure mathematical concepts that the ship's computers struggled to interpret. It's a star chart, Rivera announced as images formed on the view screen. Coordinates to somewhere beyond the galactic rim. Before anyone could respond, the obsidian vessel began to move. It glided forward, the multi-species escort following as if drawn by an invisible force. At the edge of the Carina Nebula, it paused. Another transmission came, this time clearer concepts that the Melbury ambassador could partially translate. It says, "You are not the first to reach this stage. You will not be the last. But you have shown something rare, the capacity to set aside difference in the face of the unknown. This is the first step toward understanding." The vessel's form shifted one final time, becoming a perfect sphere of obsidian that reflected the stars around it. "We will watch. We will wait. When you are ready to learn, follow these coordinates. Until then, remember what you accomplished here today." With that, the sphere accelerated at impossible speed, vanishing into the depths of space in seconds. Silence filled the Stormhawk's bridge. Finally, Foster spoke. "Was that an invitation?" "I think," Vega said slowly, "it was both a challenge and a promise." In the days that followed, the diplomatic crisis transformed into something else entirely. The shared experience of encountering the ancient vessel, now visible in all sensor records, created a foundation for new dialogues between species that had been hostile for generations. At the closing session of the diplomatic summit, Captain Vega stood before representatives of a dozen species, her voice steady. "What we witnessed wasn't just a ship. It was a mirror reflecting back to us our own potential, both for destruction and for cooperation. The vessel didn't solve our problems or force peace upon us. It simply showed us what we're capable of when we work together." She looked around the chamber. "The coordinates it left us point to something beyond our current reach, but someday we'll be ready to follow. And when that day comes, I hope we go together, not as separate species, but as a unified galactic community." As Vega finished speaking, the Droxy ambassador stepped forward, extending a gesture of reconciliation toward the human delegation. Around the room, other species followed suit, ancient rivalries momentarily set aside. High above the diplomatic station, in the silence of space where the ancient vessel had been, a subtle distortion briefly appeared, watching, evaluating, and perhaps, in its own alien way, hoping.